Hey everybody, welcome to SalComp. We are excited to tell you about the school and especially the academic section of the school. I'm representing the English Film Studies Department, and it's not just about English classes as much as it is about communication and story, about ideas and beauty and tension. And so English and film both give us the opportunity to step into conversations about the world we live in, the tensions at play, both inner tensions that we experience and the reality of the tensions that are at play in the world, and to try and find a way of navigating our way through it. And we get to hold up texts like poems and songs and stories to help us navigate that. English at SAL is, as in any Alberta school, is divided into English 10-2 and 10-1. And so if you are a student in grade 9 who had a mark below 64, 50 to 64, we would encourage you to enroll in 10-2. And then if you had marks a little higher, 65 and higher, we would ask you to enroll in 10-1. It's a more of an academic focus. And then, of course, our honors program is a great opportunity for some intense learning, and that we require a prerequisite of 80% in order to enroll in that class. In all of our English classes, we have a number of texts that we look at. And if you're in the more academic streams, you're going to be studying Shakespeare. In all streams, you'll look at poetry, songs, graphic novels, actual novels or memoirs, or we'll even look at photographs or memoirs, essays that are written. You might pick up a piece of Shakespearean poetry and in another class or at the same time read Kobe Bryant's Ode to Basketball, or watch a Childish Gambino, This Is America, a video, and do some cultural analysis of it. And so that gives us all kinds of opportunity to explore those ideas and live in the tension of the reality of ideas in the world we live in. Film studies is a component that you can add if you want. It's in addition to our English classes, and it gives us a chance to look at the visual component of texts. And so this would be an option if you're interested. We live in a world that's highly visual, highly video connected, anywhere from short little TikTok videos to television or feature film. We also are concerned about the visual media, like our social media that has such a visual component. And so a course like this would give you the tools to really analyze how those communications work, and both from creating and also from just understanding the kind of messages and reality that is being delivered to us through all that visual kind of media. It's a course that will help you in English. It helps you build analytical skills, and analysis is a very helpful skill when we're looking at any kind of text. We, of course, have opportunity for you to ask specific questions, and I understand that some of you may have asked those, and so I'd love to answer some of them.
Hi, Mr. Sear. Just to let the audience know, I recognize we are having some troubles with our live Q&A. So if you are able to access that from home, please continue to type in your questions. And as soon as we have that showing, we will definitely address those. But for now, I do have some questions for you that are very common from our students. So could you tell the students a bit about what are some of the books or the films that they're going to be able to study?
Yeah, so that always depends a little bit on the course you're in and the teacher you have. There are certain things that are mandated by Alberta Education. So if you're in the 10-1 route, you will be taking a Shakespearean text, and often that's Romeo and Juliet. And Even Taylor Swift has reminded us that's an important cultural text. In every course, you'll also study at least one novel, and some of the novels that we've done, we do graphic novels like Secret Path or Indian Horrors, or To Kill a Mockingbird is another grade 10 text. And then lots of poetry, songs, short stories, and it's not just like analyzing this piece of poetry. It's an opportunity to find meaning and how we see the world and how we understand ourselves and our emerging identity, all of those things through those texts.
Thank you. I know another common question from students is, how many essays are they going to write in grade 10?
At Sal, you don't have to write any. No, I'm joking. Generally speaking, you're going to write 4 to 6 essays in grade 10. And that can sound really onerous, but there are 2 kinds of essays that you will do in each of the strands. And they're looking at different kinds of communication. One's more analytical and one's much more personal, where you can, write a short story or an anecdote from your life or your experience, and so you'll probably write 4 to 5, and those are also opportunities to learn and to grow in your ability to communicate.
I think you've already answered this question, but maybe just to go over it one more time, how do students decide if they should be registering for the 10-1 or the 10-2 stream?
Well, that's actually maybe a harder question now after we've kind of had last spring and this year with some online schooling. And so if you've kind of coasted a bit and your mark is like 64, probably you're going to be most comfortable in the 10-2. But if you're kind of on the cusp, you're 60 to 65, and you can work harder and you're ready to do that, for sure, you could register in the 10-1 strand, but just know that it's going to be hard and you're going to have to work harder. So 65 is kind of the cutoff, and we would encourage people, unless there is really good evidence otherwise, to live into that distinction.
Thank you. I think that's really good clarification for the students. I know another question, I think you've probably already touched on this when we talked about books and films, but maybe let's go back to it for anyone that came in a bit later. In general, what types of literature are they studying in grade 10?
So as far as forms, we have like songs and poetry would kind of function in one realm. We have always a film text, so you're going to do a full study of a film text, and that doesn't mean watching it once and spending a day talking about it. You'll spend a substantial time looking at the breakdown of how film works and how all the elements of film are part of telling that story. If you're in the academic route, you'll do Shakespeare, and usually Romeo and Juliet. You'll do a novel, and you'll do a lot of like small essays and short stories.
I can see that you're excited about this and excited for the incoming grade 10s. Can you just share a little bit about that with them, what you're excited about to be teaching them in grade 10 English?
One of the reasons I love high school English, and especially when we have new students coming from junior high, is they're moving in, you guys are moving into kind of an emerging understanding of who you are, and you're differentiating from different realities around you and making decisions about what you want to do and be in your life. And I think that's an exciting time for us as teachers. We get to kind of watch that and be in dialogue with you through that. But then to place other people who are maybe in a story or in a song are working through some of the same things you might be, and then to be able to allow you to kind of enter into dialogue with a character in a book or a film. I love that. That's why I teach, actually.
Just to recap one more time, I know at the very beginning you did address the honors stream. Is that something that you can talk a little bit about for students who are listening in?
Yeah, the honors stream has a prerequisite of 80% in junior high. And we understand that people come from various schools and there might be some differentiation there, but this is for students who are prepared to, settle down and work pretty significantly. You don't ostensibly have a lot more or more work, or we're not marking you harder, but just the level of engagement and dialogue in those classes is a little bit more significant and allows us to go a little bit deeper into some of the analytical work and some of really seeing and understand the beauty of a text. Yeah.
How many essays are the students going to write in grade 10?
Oh, essays, what every student loves and what every teacher loves to give and mark. Yeah, no, not really. But in reality, it's a chance for us to build our ability to communicate. And so that will vary slightly, but if you're in the -1 route, you will have to expect 4 to 6 essays. Now, in the -1 route, there's 2 different styles of essays. So there is the more analytical approach where you're taking a look at a film or a novel or Shakespearean text, and you're writing on a topic that's very analytical. And so we want to help you build your skills at approaching any kind of text. When you leave high school, you might not ever read Shakespeare again, but you will have to, you may have to, do a presentation for your boss to a bunch of employees about a document you had to read, and you have to work it through. And so you have to learn what works as far as writing and communication. And so 4 to 6 essays, sorry, I'm distracted, in that -1 route. There's different kinds of essays in the -2 route. And so, for instance, you might have, you could have a visual response, and that's a couple paragraphs where you're giving a visual and you have to do the analysis and then respond to it around a certain idea. And there's also persuasive communication in that -2 route as well. Shorter essays in -2, but still you have to be engaged with writing for sure.
Thank you. Can you give some examples of what type of films students will be studying?
So lots of different routes. Lots of different film. I'm looking behind me. Sometimes what we try to do is to bring a film that isn't necessarily just telling the same story as a novel or another text, but is exploring an idea similar to. And so, for instance, I have shown films at different levels in class. You can see behind me Hell or High Water, which is a kind of a quasi-gangster movie, but kind of Western, but really exploring the ideas of greed and how we as humans can tend to value things just on the basis of their material sense. Or a film like Gravity, which is a few years ago, an Oscar-nominated film that are exploring the idea of what does it mean to be human and asking hard questions. It's really quite individual with a given teacher because film is somewhat personal, but it also is meant to accompany certain texts. But some great films that teachers are showing here.
Can you share some of the things that you're really excited to teach to these grade 9s once they get here?
So one of the beauties of high school for you guys and for us as onlookers is that you're in a time where your identity is really being shaped, and you're beginning to understand how you are different than maybe the environments you grew up in. How you are maybe even different than your peer groups, and beginning to say, okay, who am I really? And one of the beauties of literature and film is we get to kind of be like, get a peek into someone else's world and see what kinds of questions they're asking and how they interpret the complexities of the world around them and what their struggles are and how they kind of overcome some of those things. And so I love kind of being a tour guide to help navigate students through that. Take, for instance, this novel, which I teach at grade 10, called The Hate U Give. It's about a police shooting of a black man, and the story of the person who witnessed it, this young guy's girlfriend, and just the struggle that she's facing. I mean, that kind of text in the context of what we've faced in the last 12 months throughout the world, that's a great text to ask some really important questions that we have to wrestle through those realities in our world.